think we need to start. This is 5 past 8. So welcome to University of Ghana and welcome to this course. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Ani and I'll be taking you in UGRC 150. The title of this course is Critical Thinking and Practical Reasoning. Now, as you arrive, as you begin your tertiary education, this is a course that has been designed to introduce you to university life because it is going to help you to manage other affairs, uh, in a way that is going to benefit you a lot. That's because this course teaches us to improve our methods of reasoning, and so it's good you are here now, and I hope you guys are hearing me.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so let's go ahead. So like I was saying, this is a course that has been designed to sharpen the quality of our reasoning. There is such a thing as the quality of the decisions we make. Some people make high quality decisions. Some other people, are accustomed to making low quality decisions. When you are asked to, evaluate those two kinds of people, the person who makes high quality decisions and the person who takes low quality decisions, what is going to be your assessment of the two of them? What is your evaluation and your projection about where and how they will end up in life? What do you think are their prospects in life? Kinds of people. It is with that kind of picture that I want you to embark on this course. The course has been designed to sharpen your mode of reasoning so that you can make better arguments and then you can take better decisions. Very fortunately, the same process that improves your argument is the process that also improves your problem solving skills. So, as you are training yourself to make better arguments, you're also training yourself to solve problems in a better way. What all of them require is the ability to, examine issues, examine the reasons for issues, examine positions, examine the reasons for positions, examine claims, examine the reasons offered for claims, also examine decisions or potential decisions, and then examine the reasons for such decisions or potential decisions. All of these are what go into taking better decisions and advancing better arguments. Everything is here, critical thinking and practical reasoning. So now let's take a look at the course overview, or rather the course syllable. I'm hoping that before now some of you have taken a look at it, but for the benefit of our class, I just wanted us to um, take a look at some of the highlights. Now, the TA for your group is Miss Nanama Edo. She's overseeing all the activities for this group in this course. She will be solving all your problems. She will be telling you what next to do, and I'm sure you are in good hands by being in her hands. Then let's look at the course description. At least that is going to give us a few ideas about what we are dealing with. Critical thinking is a careful, deliberate determination of whether we should accept, reject, or suspend judgment about a claim, and of the degree of confidence with which to accept or reject it. So you see, the course is about accepting or rejecting claims. Now, let me clarify that claim. When we talk about claim, a claim can also be a conclusion. It can also be a decision. As we progress in this course, you'll find out that claims and conclusions and decisions are technically the same. They are technically the same. Claims, conclusions, decisions. Just have that in your mind. They are the same because they are the end processes of reasoning process. Whenever you are reasoning, it either lands you in a claim, in a conclusion, a claim, or a decision. So for that reason, the three of them are end processes, are end points of a reasoning process, and for that reason, they are technically. It's just that we name them differently because of different contexts. Okay. So this course is about accepting or rejecting claims. So it means it is also about accepting or rejecting conclusions, accepting or rejecting decisions based on the reasons. And so we are here to study the relationships between reasons and conclusions. We normally call them premises and conclusions, or premises and claims, or premises and decisions. What is their relationship? How do they function? You know, so the entire technicality. The second sentence, critical thinking operates according to rational standards, in that beliefs and claims are evaluated by how well they are supported by reasons. So you can take note of that. Beliefs and claims are evaluated by how well they are supported by reasons. So that's all the course is about. The course is about the quality of the reasoning that you are advancing to support your claims, conclusions, and decisions. This course will introduce students to the methods and principles used to distinguish good, correct from bad, incorrect reasoning. So, and then the course provides the concepts and techniques that are required to be employed in critical thought and practice within the academic arena and everyday life. So let's get down and look at some other highlights. We are hoping that by the end of this course, we should gain some bits of knowledge. For example, we should be able to know how to distinguish different types of arguments, truth, knowledge, truth, and how to acquire them. We would also want to be able to know the difference between inductive reasoning for probable truths and deductive reasoning for necessary truths. Now, just by way of a general comment,
Sir, please, we can't hear.
come again.
We can't hear you well.
Okay, could it be network or something? Or do you think I'm speaking too fast?
No,
Not that.
too low.
Is it breaking?
Like it's like your voice is not loud enough for us to hear.
Yeah.
Let me check. Let me check my settings and check my microphone.
Okay.
Input volume. Okay, so I'm raising the input volume. Input volume is now the maximum. Then the output volume is supposed to be for me. Okay. Yeah, so I've raised it a bit. Now, so we were talking about what we hope to gain by the end of the course. We talked about being able to distinguish different types of arguments. Number two, we hope to be acquainted with the value and significance of each type of reasoning. And then we also hope to see why it is necessary to examine one's own thoughts and how to categorize the sentences that express them. Then we want to also be able to see the difference between empirical and normative judgments. Now, by way of a general remark, there's this distinction between the empirical and the normative. Anything that refers to the empirical refers to the external world. That is, it refers to facts in the external world. And then, by contrast, anything that refers to the normative is not referring to the external world, it is rather referring to our values, those values that we cherish or those values that we don't cherish. For instance, it refers to right versus wrong, good versus bad, and those things. So the normative refers to those things that we think we should be doing or we shouldn't be doing. And then the empirical is concerned about what is and what is not. But the normative is concerned about what should be, what should not be, what ought to be, what ought not to be. So that's the basic distinction between the empirical and the normative. And then the next big thing we'll see in this course is definitions. How That's number 5. How definitions differ and overlap. Now, critical thinking, or when we are reflecting, when we are discussing with other people, or we are reflecting within ourselves, and we are undergoing a process of reasoning, whatever reasoning that is going on in our heads, it goes on in language. We reason with language even when we are alone, even when we are not speaking, even when we are just thinking. So for that reason, language is necessary for reasoning. So if language is having such an importance, it means that before we begin to reason, we need to examine the language tools we use for reasoning. And so what you would notice is that the first half of this semester is designed to study some language tools. It's a little bit like your English language classes, but it is very different. We'll just be treating those language tools that we need for the business of reasoning. So it goes on from week 1 to week 5 or thereabouts. Week 5, no, it goes on from, and that is from unit 1 to unit 5. Now that we're doing 6 weeks, it means we'll be on language classes for at least 2 weeks. I think at least 4 classes and 2 weeks, or 2 weeks. So, and when we are dealing with language, we pay particular attention to definitions. Now, definitions are designed to provide information about meaning. Now, when we are making arguments, when we are reasoning, when we are making proposals, when we are defending our positions, all those reasoning processes, they will be useless if we don't have an accurate understanding of the concepts we are working with. When we are making arguments about a concept, it is good we actually have an accurate meaning of that concept before we begin to make arguments. If, for instance, you are arguing about God, or you are arguing about an atom, or you are arguing about something around, and then you don't have a proper understanding of that thing, whatever argument you are making about it is, I don't think it's going anywhere. And the most embarrassing thing would be for someone to point out to you that, look, this is not the accurate meaning of this concept. I think that you are having a misunderstanding of this concept. That look at what this concept actually means. And then that would show, if that is true, then it means that all you have argued about that concept doesn't apply. We call it not applicable. So for that reason, it is important we have a grasp of the accurate meaning of phenomena or things or concepts before we even begin to reason about them. And the sentence structure that gives us information about the meaning of something is a definition. So for that reason, definitions occupy a very important place in logic, because you have to be accurate about the concepts you want to discuss before you even begin to discuss them. Then after definitions, number 6, we'll look at different types of discourse, such as argument, instruction, rhetoric, narrative. So we'll study all these things. And then 7, we'll also study fallacies. Now, fallacies are instances of bad reasoning. There is good and bad reasoning. So what we are doing in logic or critical thinking is really to study good reasoning. And then after studying good reasoning, we also study bad reasoning. So we study bad reasoning so that we can appreciate the good reasoning. Without knowing bad reasoning, you wouldn't really, have a full grasp of good reasoning. So you study good reasoning and then you study bad reasoning so that you can contrast bad reasoning to good reasoning. Now, bad reasoning is called fallacy. And so we have both formal and informal fallacies. So when we are studying different types of argument, we will see formal fallacies when we are studying deductive reasoning. Then at the last week of the semester, we will study the informal fallacies. Okay, so there are certain skills we hope to acquire by the end of the course. I think you can go back to this syllable and read these skills so that you would be clear about what you want at the beginning of the course. For instance, number 1, we want to be able to identify and critically analyze sentences that claim some truth or point out those that are incapable of being true or false. And then 2, we want to be able to identify when the principles of logic may or may not be used on a type of language. And then we want to also be able to identify and construct arguments. When you are given a passage and you are asked to identify the parts of the passage that are arguments and the parts of the passage that are not arguments, the question is whether you'll be able to do so. So this course will teach you how to identify arguments within passages and then know the ones that are not arguments. So it goes the rest. You can read this later on. Let's highlight a few other things in this syllable. There'll be about 4 assessments. We have 2 assignments. Each assignment is 10%. So the 2 of them is 20%. Then there's a mid-semester test, which is 30%. So 30% plus 20 the assignments, that's 50%. Then we have the final exam, which is 50%. So 50/50 is 100. Okay, so and then when we are done with the assessments, if it is an assessment that has to be manually graded, then you have to be patient while we grade them so that you don't ask us too many questions until we are done. But if it is automatically graded by the system, then that's fine. You will see your grades and then you know upfront how you performed. Now, this is a timetable. So you can see that today we are looking at thoughts as objects of scrutiny. We're going to look at speech acts, and then we're going to contrast facts with values. When you look at the lessons column, introduction to critical thinking, which is what we're doing right now, review of the course outline, that is in fact what we're doing right now, and then distinguishing types of sentence-shaped thought. So we are almost about to begin that. Recognizing sentence fragments and emotive expressions, identifying different types of declarative sentences, contrasting facts and values. So we are going to do this once now, and then for our next class we have definitions. So we'll do definitions, value disputes, and substantive disagreements. And then for the third class we're going to look at different types of discourse, and then the six senses of law. So that's for three classes. And then for the fourth class, we have deduction versus induction. So that is how we're going to move. And then for the fifth class, we have inductive reasoning. And then for the final class, we have polemic. So we have one. For week one, we have one units 1 and 5.2. For week two, we have units 2 and 3.1. For week three, we have, so for each week, we're going to have two classes. Now let's go ahead. You can always read this later. So let's come back to the business of the day. Today we are looking at speech acts. Speech acts. What are speech acts? A speech act is an utterance that performs a certain function in language and communication. We perform speech acts when we ask questions, make a request, make a proposition, make judgment, express emotions, and so on. A speech act may be one word, a complete sentence, or an incomplete one. So from this paragraph, you can see that a speech act is basically whatever sound that comes out of your lips. Even if it is it's a speech act. So the question is, what are the various functions of what comes from between your lips? So because they perform different functions, we divided them into different speech acts. We have questions, we have requests, we have proposition, we have judgment, we have emotional expressions. So we're going to look at all of them right now. For types of speech acts, we'll begin with interrogative sentence. Now, interrogative sentences are what we normally call questions. They end in a question mark. The purpose of interrogative sentence is to solicit or require information from someone. Why do you ask questions? You ask questions because you need answers. By answers, we mean information. So that's why we say the purpose of interrogative sentences is to solicit or require information from someone. Interrogative sentences cannot be true or false. So when you ask a question, your question cannot be true or false. So you can't say your question is true or your question is false. It's a question. Examples of questions or interrogatives. Do you have the keys to the door? How are you doing this morning? What is your name? Now, each of these questions is pleading for an answer, or you say that each of these interrogatives is soliciting information from someone. Then we have the imperative sentences. Imperatives are sentences spoken to require someone to do something or undertake certain actions. So whilst interrogatives require someone to provide information, imperatives require someone to do something. That's why they are called imperatives. They include commands, instructions, directives, requests, and pleas. Now, we have, we can categorize types of imperatives into soft and hard imperatives. So the soft imperatives will be the requests and the pleas, and then the hard imperatives will be, the commands, the directives. So in that light, we can understand these definitions that are here. A command is used to offer authoritative or dictatorial order for something to be done. An instruction is a direction or order used to guide someone to do something. A directive is an authoritative order establish a policy, assign responsibilities, define a set of objectives, and delegate authority to someone to do something. A request is an act of asking politely or formally for something to be done. A plea is a supplication for a certain action or decision to be taken. So you can see the hard and soft imperatives. So let's see examples. Examples of imperatives. We have examples of both hard and soft imperatives. Clear this desk by tomorrow. So that sounds like a hard imperative. Please water the plants. That sounds a bit softer. Drive to the junction and turn right. Do not turn over the next page until you are told to do so. Answer only one question from this section, and the rest. So these are all imperatives, and they vary according to the tone. Then we have declarative sentences. Now, declaratives are sentences that convey information. So now this is the third kind of speech act we're looking at. Now, so whilst interrogatives are spoken to solicit information and imperatives are spoken to get someone to do something, declaratives are spoken to provide information. So declaratives can therefore be true or false. So when you provide information, the information you've provided can be true or false. Declarative sentences are spoken to make a statement. So we also call them statements. Declaratives are called statements. They end in a period, or what we call a full stop. In logic, declarative sentences are called propositions. So you can call declarative statements or propositions. They include the following: factual statements, value judgments, definitions, and arguments. So these are the types of declaratives. You have factual statements, you have value judgments, you have definitions, and you have arguments. Okay, so let's look at factual statements. A factual statement or a statement of fact is an expression that conveys information about the state of affairs in the external world. Now, so a factual statement is about, facts out there. It is true if it conveys accurate information about facts, and false if the factual information is inaccurate. So, examples of factual statements: grass is green. That's a factual statement. Snow is white. That man is the current provost of the College of Arts and Culture. Now, if you want to disprove any of these factual statements, you have to provide alternative facts. So if, for instance, you want to prove that grass is not green, you can provide facts of grass that is either white or black or something. Then if you want to prove that snow is not white, you have to provide snow that is not white. And if you want to disprove, if you want to prove that this man is not the current provost of the College of Arts and Culture, then you have to provide documents to show that he's not the current provost. You probably have to go to the registry to obtain information, documented information about who actually is the provost. So all of these factual statements can be supported or rejected by verification. So factual statements can be verified. Then we have definitions. Definitions are sentences spoken to convey information about the meaning of a word or words. So whilst factual statements are statements about facts in the external world, definitions are actually statements about the meaning of words. So the job of definitions is to provide information about meaning. Now let's see examples. A lion is a large carnivorous feline mammal of Africa and northwest India, having a short tawny coat, a tufted tail, and in the male a heavy mane around the neck and shoulders. So this statement is a definition. It provides information on the meaning of lion. It's not a factual statement about lions. The second example: a bed is a piece of furniture upon which or within which a person sleeps. So this statement is about what a bird means, not about birds, instances of that object. Then we have value judgment. A value judgment or statement is a claim about something moral, practical, and aesthetic value or suitability. So value judgments do not describe the world like factual statements do. Rather, value judgments prescribe certain attitudes and behaviors towards the world. So value judgments are concerned with prescribing how the world ought to be rather than describing how the world actually is. So value judgments are about our values, what we think should be right or wrong and good and bad and all those things. So they are not statements about how the external world is. They are about what we think the external world should look like, or what we want the external world to be. Example: that is right, that is wrong. Michael is a good man. Jezebel has no conscience. So these are statements about how we want things to be done, not how things actually are. That's why they are called value judgments. All these things are values: right, wrong, good, bad, and all those. Two types of value judgments. So we have two types of value judgments. We have the moral and non-moral. Moral value judgments are claims about something's moral suitability or otherwise. So something's moral value. Examples: abortion is evil. So the value of abortion is not really commendable according to this statement or according to this value judgment. Do not commit adultery. So this judgment is actually condemning the value of adultery. Do not insult your spouse. So these are statements that have condemned the value of these acts, these activities. Then we have the non-moral value judgments. They are claims about something's practical or aesthetic suitability or value. Now we have values that are not moral, but they are values we also cherish a lot. For example, these examples: Ofori is an excellent student. Excellence is not really a moral value, but we cherish excellence a lot. That shirt is too tight on you. Now, the function of clothing is to fit us, to do what they are supposed to do, which is to protect us from the weather and all that, and to make us look good, and other things. So, if a shirt doesn't fit you well, then that's a value judgment that a shirt doesn't fit you very well. It means that that clothing is not advancing your values or our values, at least one of our values. That car is beautiful. Beauty is an aesthetic value. So we have aesthetic values which have to do with something being beautiful or ugly. And then apart from aesthetic values, we have practical values, or I would rather call them utility values. So utility values include values like durability, reliability, efficiency, productivity. These are all utility values. Utility values are values about how we want to make our lives better. Those are utility values. The aesthetic values are just values about beauty, but they are not necessarily utility values. Then we have the emotive expressions. Now, emotive expressions are sentences that express feelings. Emotive expressions that show strong feeling may often end in exclamation mark. But this is not always the case for all emotive expressions. So there are emotive expressions that don't end in exclamation mark. So you don't need to identify emotive explanations by seeing that they have exclamation marks, because there are some that don't. Examples: I love that guy. I hate how she dresses. We hope you will win the tournament. Hallelujah. So these are all, expressions of feelings. They are not really like arguments. You don't agree and disagree with this statement, with these expressions. When someone says I love that guy, you don't agree or disagree with it. The person is just expressing her feelings. Or when someone says I hate how she dresses. If someone says I hope you win the game, you don't say you are wrong and things like that. So they are expressions of feelings. They are not like arguments or propositions that you tackle or agree or disagree with. Then you have sentence fragments. Sentence fragments are incomplete sentences, lacking either noun or verb. Sometimes sentence fragments act as signposts to show direction or to advertise a product. Examples of sentence fragments: Desmond for Parliament. What is missing in Desmond for Parliament? At least a verb is missing. Then you have other examples: yam and sauce, your yam with sauce, your dream house. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the speech acts we want to look at. Now we'll just do a few exercises and then we'll round up. So now let's do a few exercises. Rewrite the following emotive expressions as value judgments. Now, we have three emotional expressions here, or emotive expressions. What are the conversions to value judgment? What a beautiful lady. Convert to a value judgment. Anyone? What a beautiful lady. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll call you back. I'm in a meeting now. Okay, so Winfred, I saw you raising your hand. Yeah, so
the lady is beautiful.
Yeah, the lady is beautiful. What about the second one?
Yeah,
The second one
he is kind.
is kind, and then the third one.
The journey is extremely the journey is extremely delightful.
Okay, that's fine. Then let's look at the second set of exercises. Rewrite the imperative sentences below as interrogative sentences. Now, so convert from imperative to interrogative. Edna, the first one, shut your mouth up. Convert to interrogative. Then Charity, you take the second one. Bernard takes the third one.
Okay, sir. Will you shut up your mouth?
Will you shut up your mouth? Then Charity, second one.
Will you speak loudly?
And Bernard, the third one.
Would you get up?
Okay, will you get up quickly and read your book? Then Deborah and Victoria, you're going to answer the first and second of the last one. Did I miss someone? I'm coming. Deborah, Victoria, and Laurencia. So let's go back to this to the slide. Rewrite the following interrogative sentences as statements of fact. So convert from interrogative to factual statement. The first one.
Amma is playing football.
Amma is playing football. Then the second person.
He has finished his homework.
He has finished his homework. And then the third person.
The match is coming up today.
Match.
The match is coming up today.
The match is coming up today.
The match is coming off today. Okay, that's fine. Now, Martha has raised her hand. Martha, did you want to answer a question or ask a question?
Please, I wanted to answer a question.
Okay, good. And someone else had Emmanuel. What about you?
So Mutant, I wanted to ask a question.
You wanted to ask?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, please, I was existed from the group, the WhatsApp group, so I don't know why.
The WhatsApp group for group 11.
Yes, please.
Don't you have the link?
Please, when I joined, they said you can't join because you have been exited from the group.
What was the exact word? Is it exempted?
No, exited.
Exited?
Yeah.
But exited means that you succeeded in joining and then only to be removed again.
Please come again.
If you were exited, then it means you succeeded in joining and then you were removed.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Then get in touch with your TA, Miss Nanama Edo.
Okay, sir.
She created the WhatsApp group and she's also on Sakai. Send her a message on Sakai. Unless you have our phone number, then you can send her a text. Lovia Akosua, you want to say something?
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
And please, the first brain teaser. What a beautiful lady.
Yeah.
When we do that, then
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. What a beautiful lady. Let me. I'm coming. Lovey, I think your line is breaking.
Sir, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, your line was breaking. So you have to repeat.
Sir, can you hear me now?
No, it's still breaking. So you have to type it. Can you type it?
All right, sir, I'll type it.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So whilst Lovia is typing, Diana Dankwa, do you have something to ask?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Sir, please, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, please, I would like you to show us the questions again.
Which one?
The questions.
The exercises?
Yes, please.
Let me see. Yeah, so these are the questions. Is it the first group or the second group or the third group? Okay, so now you've seen the question.
Please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, good. Let me see. Laurencia Darlington.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir. Oh, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Sir, please, I want to know if we are only going to have lectures on every Saturdays.
Yeah, it's recurrent. It's recurrent for the same day and the same time.
Only on Saturdays.
No, we also have another one on Monday afternoon.
Please, what time?
That should be 3 p.m. or thereabout. Yeah, it's 3, but I'll communicate the final time.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lovia Kosua, I've gotten your question. You are asking what a beautiful lady. Can we say for a value judgment she is a beautiful lady? Yeah, that's correct. Without the question mark, it has to be a statement. She's a beautiful lady. So that's how it should be, because declaratives are statements, with um, with a period or the full stop. So she's a beautiful lady is a value judgment. That's correct. So let me answer some other questions on chat. Sir, please, will you post a recording of this lecture into the group? Yes, I'll post it on Sakai a few minutes after the class. Then, please, will the slides be on Sakai? The slides are also part of the video. So when you are watching the video, you also see the slides. Sir, please, I want to ask if we'll be given the slide. So that's what I just said. It's part of the video. So everything in the slide comes out in the video. And Edna, do you want to ask something? Edna?
No, please.
Okay, good. Your hand was raised.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So now we are done. We've come to the end of the slide and the class. Like I said, I'll communicate the final time for our Monday class. So we have Mondays and Saturdays, twice a week for 6 weeks. And then we're done. I'll think about the assignment you are going to do next. I should be giving you 2 assignments, the first one and the second one, each of them 10 marks. And then sometime in the 3rd week, we should be having our mid-semester test, which is 30 marks. And then after the 6 weeks, you should be preparing for your exams, which should just come on immediately after the 6 weeks. So that's the layout for the assessments. So this class is very short. It's probably the shortest class, the briefest class in the semester. Other classes will be longer than this. It's supposed to be 2-hour classes. When you do your deductive reasoning, you need at least 2 hours, if not more. But normally we achieve it in 2 hours. So thank you for coming. I wish you all a very pleasant weekend.
Sir.
Yes?
Sir, please, Monday, I have lectures the whole day, so it might clash with my other courses. So I'm asking if you can do something about it.
Yeah, I know. A lot of
Yes.
programs. Yes, yes.
I mean,
Same here.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll answer.
If I make it Saturday, Saturday is the best.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll answer that question for everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that question for everyone. Now, the university is getting larger and larger. The population of students is increasing, and classes are beginning to clash more and more. So a lot of people are beginning to lose more opportunities for classes. Because of that, we've, even though COVID-19 was also a factor, we've moved to the online system. The advantage of the online system is that if you are not able to make it to a class, you get to watch the full video. So when you watch the video, you recover everything you missed. And then you not only watch the lecture in the video, you also watch all the questions that were asked in the class and how those questions were answered. And it is very likely that any question you would have asked would have been asked by someone else, and then you get opportunity to listen to the answer. And so with the online system of teaching, you have your videos. We record every class and we put the recording, and then you watch the recording if you didn't attend. And and remember, you also have the advantage of watching a video, a class, as many times as you want. But when we were doing the face-to-face classes, please mute yourself. Please don't unmute yourself if I have muted you. So remember that when you were doing the face-to-face classes, there were no recordings. So you just listen to it once. If you didn't hear the lecturer very well, that's it. You've missed it completely. But now we have videos. You get everything in the video. You can watch the video up to 100 times. And when it was face-to-face, if you came late and you missed 30 minutes, the 30 minutes, whatever was said in the 30 minutes, you can only ask people. You are not even likely to ask people. And if you ask people, they are not likely to remember what precisely was said in the first 30 minutes you were late. So recording our classes with the online system has solved all those problems. If you were not able to make it to a class, just watch the video and that's it. So that's the advantage of moving to the online system. Okay, so I'm going to end the class. I wish you all a happy weekend.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Please, hello, sir. Uploaded.
Thank
Sir.
you, sir.
Hello,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, it will be uploaded. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, please, with this one, the question teaser you posted on your screen. You asked that we should change it from interrogative to. Please, can you show that screen again, please?
Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, from interrogative to factual statement.
The first example that you said we should convert, the first one, yes, you said we should change it, rewrite the imperative sentence to an interrogative sentence.
Yeah.
So to change it to interrogative sentence, that one it should be to ask for information, but the person changed it to the shut up your mouth. The person changed it that will you shut up your mouth. So for me, it seems like it's a bit of command, or isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of command. The purpose of the exercise is to learn to change them linguistically, not to examine what the content is.
Okay, so which one do you think is the answer? What do you think?
Yeah, you are required to change it to an interrogative. So will you shut your mouth up? Is structurally an interrogative. So even if it is functionally not an interrogative, you have done your part to change the structure to that of an interrogative.
Sir, yeah, my question actually goes to him. So if he thinks the thing is like more of a command, then what is his view about it? I mean, what's in his head that he wants to share with us?
He's worried because it would appear structurally as an interrogative, but the function is not the function of an interrogative. When you say, will you shut your mouth up? Indirectly, it's an imperative. Yeah. There are some interrogatives. Where is this noise coming from? Eric na okay. Eric ni okay. What is going on in your environment that is interrupting the rest of the class? Yeah, so it is possible to see some interrogatives that are performing a function of imperatives. So let me talk briefly on that. Will you shut up your mouth? Or will you close the door? It is structurally an interrogative, but it is functionally an imperative. But because it is structurally an interrogative, then it satisfies the condition of being an interrogative, because interrogatives are every sentence that ends with a question mark is an interrogative. If you say, will you shut up your mouth? The person can say, no, I will not shut up your mouth. So it can elicit an action, but it can also elicit a verbal response. So you can't deny it from being an interrogative, but at the same time, you can admit that it can also perform some imperative function. So you can have that dual, function sometimes, but you will not be asked to choose whether it is an interrogative or an imperative, because that is not our focus. All right, so I wish you all a pleasant weekend. We'll see you on Monday.